Hi, welcome. This is Citi TV. My name is Nathan Corwin. Welcome to our special program on the World Cup qualifiers on the African continent. I know Friday at this time we should be talking Premier League stuff there, but it's an international break and it's a very crucial time on the African continent. We decided to dedicate an hour just to talk about everything qualifiers on the African continent, especially the Black Stars. Can they make it through to the playoff stage? They have a game against South Africa on Sunday. We'll see how it goes. We'll look at the other groups, pick out the hot spots, and pick out the interesting stories and side notes from all the games that have been played and will be played across this weekend. As usual, your thoughts and comments are welcome on the number 0550-585832. Would love to hear what you have to say concerning the Black Stars, or maybe the Egyptian national team, or the Senegalese, or the Malians, or the Moroccans. Anything African football in relation to the World Cup you want to talk about. We'll be doing all of that between now and the next hour. We'll take a very, very quick break. When we come back, I'll introduce my guest and we get through the program. It's a special look at the 2022 FIFA World Cup qualifiers on the African continent. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. This is Citi TV's exclusive program looking at the 2022 World Cup qualifiers. Remember, it's the last round of games, and after this weekend or early next week, teams will know who have tickets to the playoff and who have got to wait for another round of World Cup qualifiers to show up a little later. It's about a couple of years, I think, 2 or 3 years, maybe 4 or 5, whatever. We'll see how the one plays out. Let me introduce the guys. They are my usual guns on the desk. Daniel Cranting and Fentu Tahiru. Hi guys, how are you doing?
Hello.
Hi Nathan.
Typically
Good.
Fridays we'll be doing FPL and Lampard and Eddie Howe and Ole, but nah. This Friday they take a back seat.
It's a needed break.
Yeah, it is.
It's a refreshing one as well.
Yeah.
It's interesting how the World Cup qualifying on a continent like Europe is so straightforward.
Yeah.
South America has some action, but it's almost always straightforward. It's Africa these days that has all the interesting side stories and subplots. Let's have a look at the results from yesterday. There were some games that played. There you have them. Ethiopia drew 1-1 with Kenya. Same score between Ethiopia and Ghana. We'll spend some time talking about that. DRC, they beat Tanzania on the road. Mali beat Rwanda in Kigali, so the Malians have made it through to the playoff stage. Congo, Brazzaville 1, Namibia 1. Benin 2, Madagascar 0. South Africa 1, Zimbabwe 0. And that sets up an exciting tie on Sunday in Cape Coast between Ghana and South Africa. And it's Togo 1, Senegal 1. Togo 1, Senegal 1. Let's see if we can get the fixtures for today as well. The games that will be played today, some of them have been played already. Djibouti, Algeria, the Algerians won. Burkina Faso drew with Niger, I believe. Gabon just started their game against Libya. Guinea, the same. Guinea versus Guinea-Bissau, interesting game. Angola and Egypt. And for Egypt, they need to win. If they win, they are through to the playoffs, while Sudan hosts Morocco later this evening at 7 p.m. Friends, let me start off with you. Which of these results had you thinking, or which of these results caught your attention from yesterday's round of games?
Obviously, you have to say Ghana. I'm not sure a lot of people expected them to be held by Ethiopia, obviously because of the nature of the running for the two teams basically competing for a spot in the top. South Africa playing Zimbabwe. The Ghanaians knew that anything but victory would complicate their journey, and they were overwhelming favourites largely because the Ethiopians have been one of the two whipping boys. I mean, from day one, South Africa and Ghana have always had eyes for each other, but then you look at the way that the running has been. With 2 games to the end, everybody expected the two teams, both South Africa and Ghana, to win their penultimate games and then set up an epic clash at the end. But it didn't happen. It still hasn't changed the story, though. It's still an epic clash, potentially, at the Cape Coast Stadium. But I think what's probably next surprising has to be DR Congo's result at Tanzania, because that I did not see coming, because going into that particular game, it was the two teams that were basically competing for top four, for top spot. And somehow, DR Congo go there and they absolutely pummeled them, not one, not two, by 3 goals to nil. That was a very, very shocking result. And I didn't expect that would happen, but it did. And DR Congo now with 10 points have put themselves in a very good position to qualify out of that group. Right. Benin have also done themselves a very good favor by also winning their game by 2 goals to nil against Madagascar. So that means that those two teams, Benin and DR Congo, have it all to do in their last game. It will be very interesting to see what happens. And then the other shocking result has to be the 1-1 draw between Burkina Faso and Niger earlier today. Because going into that game, Burkina Faso were level on points with Algeria. The Algerians were going to Djibouti, a team that they beat 8-0 in the first leg, or was it 9, or something like that. And then, Algeria completely changed. They had about only 2 regulars, and only Boneja and perhaps Sofiane Feghouli were the only regulars that actually started that game. They started what they presume possibly like a team B, if you like. Yeah. Obviously, with an eye on that game in Bleda against the Burkinabés, because they had the expectation that Burkina Faso would win their game against Niger. And they were playing in Ouagadougou at home, against a Niger team that were out of the competition and had nothing to play for. But somehow it ended in a draw, in a very disappointing draw. And now, with a 2-point lead heading into that game on Tuesday, Algeria look like overwhelming favorites to really qualify, because now Burkina Faso, anything but of course, even if Burkina Faso had won, with the superior goal difference that Algeria had, they would still have needed to beat the Algerians in Bleda to qualify. The task remains the same, obviously. If they beat them, they qualify. But now, it's a lot more difficult, psychologically, mentally, of course, and all of those other factors involved. So I think those have been the surprising scorelines. I personally also expected South Africa to probably win by a bigger goal margin, considering that they had seen Ghana drop points against Ethiopia. You expected South Africa playing at home against Zimbabwe team that were out of the running to score more than 1 goal. They still got the 3 points, scored 1 goal. But I thought that, perhaps South Africa should have put in a statement performance, maybe at least 3-0 or 4-0, and made the task a lot harder for Ghana. I mean, Ghana's journey now, it's basically win, and they're true. But if they had won by a bigger margin, they would have had to do more than just win, which would include scoring more goals, and that always complicates things.
All right, let's move it on to Ghana's group now. Let's have a look at that group table, Group G. Now, this is how the state of play is ahead of Sunday's final match. South Africa on 13 points, Ghana on 10, Ethiopia on 4, Zimbabwe on 1. So it's a winner-take-all at the Cape Coast Stadium. Should the Black Stars win by any kind of margin, even if it's a 0.5 goal to 0, they still make it there, and the permutations are straightforward. I'll get the guys to explain that in a second. Daniel, let's retrace our steps. Let's go back to yesterday's game between Ethiopia and Ghana. What did you make of the performance, and how come the Black Stars could not see that result out, especially knowing the possible complications of not getting 3 points and then having to work your mathematics and then laying out the picture right in front of you as you take on Zimbabwe on South Africa on Sunday?
Obviously, it was a very disappointing result. Ghana expected to go to Ethiopia and win. With the sort of recent form that the Black Stars had shown, that win, double win over Zimbabwe, 3-1 at home, and then that very good 1-0 away from home. You expected Ghana to go to Ethiopia and get all 3 points, and especially because the Black Stars led at halftime. It was 1-0. They looked comfortable, but then the second half was a totally different display. Ethiopia came back into the game, and you have to admit that they deserved something out of the game. But when you look at things, or when you put things into context, the fact still remains that the job is still the same. Had Ghana even beaten Ethiopia, they still would have had to beat South Africa on Sunday to be able to qualify. So the job still remains the same. Of course, it's just disappointing, but on the grand scale of things, the mission and the task still remains the same. And that's where I think that's a positive that Ghana should dwell on, the fact that nothing has changed too much. And of course, that result against Ethiopia will not work against them too much. Had they lost that game, of course, that would have been a different story. But tactically and in terms of personnel, I think this game highlighted the importance of Thomas Partey in the Black Stars team, and the fact that we don't have anybody like that in our midfield. His absence meant that Kudus had to drop deep, and that also created a gap in the number 10 role. That's a creative midfielder role, because Kudus almost had to do a two-man's job, and of course he had a bad day and he affected the entire team. If Partey was around, and when Partey is around, we have two of those kind of players who can create something when they have the ball. Partey from deep and Kudus, who is closer to goal. So if one of them has a bad day, you can fall on the other to work the magic. But of course, yesterday that didn't happen. And once again, Andre Ayew is the one who came to the rescue of the Black Stars. We talk about strikers, we talk about the availability of talent, and we have. But when you zone in and you look at the actual impact on the national team, you cannot overlook the fact that Andre Ayew he's on a level in the last 10 years. I think he's the most consistent Black Stars player. He always scores. And look, goals is the currency of football. So if you have a player who can guarantee you a goal every other game, you have to keep him in the team. And he scores all sorts of goals. Yesterday was another set piece. He did it against Sudan. Was the last year in the AFCON qualifiers, and he did it again yesterday. And you see, yesterday when you watch the grand scale of things, apart from the first half where the Black Stars created a couple of opportunities which fell to Richmond Boakye Yadom, in the second half they struggled to create opportunities, and that is where you need the skill of somebody like Andre Ayew. From a set piece, we scored a goal. We saw it in the last game. Thomas Partey, from a set piece, we scored a goal. But my problem with the Black Stars yesterday, major problem, is the fact that they sat back too early.
Okay.
In a game where you have superior talent over the opposition, you clearly have a better tactical mind. I felt the Black Stars invited pressure too early. By the 60th minute, Milo had already made what I view was a defensive change by bringing Wakaso into the mix. So now it was a double pivot. It was two defensive midfielders in Baba and Wakaso. And then it made it very difficult for the Black Stars to progress the ball from midfield, which invited pressure. And at the end of the day, it was an individual mistake, of course, from Joseph Edu Kum Wakaso because of his overhit pass to Edu, and of course the Black Stars conceded. But as I said earlier on, the positive is that the job still remains the same. And the fact is the Black Stars are more than capable of beating South Africa. I am a bit happy because they would want a response. And we know the Black Stars, when you trace the history of this team, we know that they understand assignments. When it comes to games where they are supposed to turn up, you are more than certain that they will turn up. And in front of the home crowd, you are confident that they will turn up. And the good thing is that any sort of win, and I'm sure Finn will explain it later, any sort of win will be enough for the Black Stars. So it's not necessarily calculations and if we score this, and if you just need to win at the end of the day to guarantee yourself a place in the playoffs.
We'll be hearing from Coach Milivan Rahivac in a bit there. But Fent, can you just explain once more? I know you've done this explanation a million times already, between yesterday and today.
Yeah.
How come the Black Stars need only a win of any kind to make it through to the playoff? Because all the talk just immediately after the game was Ghana needs to win by 2, they need to win by 3, they need to better South Africa's scoreline. What exactly is the picture heading into that game on Sunday? And for those who are watching, can you just settle the debate once and for all so people know what to expect or what it is the Black Stars need to do on Sunday?
Yeah, I think the confusion was understandable, mostly because the rules here in Africa and especially in Ghana football are completely different from the rules that FIFA uses in the qualifiers. So right here in Ghana football, we use head-to-head. If our league ends and the teams have the same number of points, nobody looks at the goal difference. They go straight to head-to-head. That rule was only brought in place because of the dishonesty from the 2007 31-0 and 29-0 results, because people were scoring goals that they should not be scoring. So then they eliminated the whole idea of goals and made it head-to-head. So that way two teams can be competitive against each other. As far as the FIFA rules are concerned, the way the order of breaking ties, it goes all the way to, I think, about 10 different items up to the drawing of lots.
Yeah. We've seen that in an AFCON before.
We have seen that in an
2015.
AFCON. Exactly. It was a drawing of lots to determine a second place team. So that is an actual rule. But in the FIFA qualifiers, the indices, and when I say indices, then people say I'm going into mathematics, the parameters for measuring or for breaking a tie, number 1 is points. Right? If you get the most points, you qualify. If the points are level, you go to parameter number 2. And as far as FIFA is concerned, parameter number 2 is goal difference.
Goal difference.
Goal difference in the entire group. So if the points are level, you go to the goal difference that the two teams have over the matches they have played.
Goals scored versus goals against.
Yes, so goal difference is determined by subtracting the goals you've conceded from the goals you've scored. All right. Now, if you do the goal difference and the goal difference is level, then you go to the third parameter. The third parameter is goals scored. So goals for. How many goals have you scored as a team? All right. Now, if that is also level, before you go to head-to-head. So head-to-head is parameter number 4.
Okay.
So if we take Ghana and South Africa's situation, we're looking at points first. South Africa have 13, Ghana have 10. If Ghana win, Ghana will go up to 13. So they'll be level on points. Now, if they're level on points, we go down to what? Goal difference.
Goal difference.
Now, as things stand, the Black Stars have a goal difference of 3, right?
Okay.
They have scored 6, they have conceded 3.
So 6 minus 3.
Yes.
Okay.
So the Bafana have a goal difference of +5. They have scored 6 as well, and they've conceded just 1. All right, so they have a goal difference of +5. Now, if on Sunday Ghana were to win, let's say 1-0, all right, 1-0 would take Ghana's goal difference to what? +4.
+4.
Because they are +3 now.
Yeah.
But that 1-0 will also reduce South Africa's goal difference from +5 to +4.
+4.
So now both teams will be level on points, 13 points. They'll be level on goal difference as well, because each team would have +4, +4.
Yeah.
Then you go to the third parameter, which is goals scored. How many goals has each team scored? In that case, as it stands, Ghana have scored 6. South Africa have scored 6. But if Ghana were to win 1-0, they would have scored how many?
7.
7. That would take them to. That's the law. Very simple.
So very simple. So for our viewers, if you were struggling and you were incapable of working out the mathematics, there you have it, explained brilliantly by Fento Tahiru. It looks like, should Ghana win, it will be settled on goals scored. Am I right? Goals scored. Points will be same, obviously. Goal difference might be same, depending on the score line. But if Ghana scores more than 1, then of course that blows the other bits out of water. And we'll go. Bottom line, the Black Stars need any kind of win to get themselves through to the playoff stage of the World Cup qualifiers on the African continent. Let's listen to Milovan Rajevac, his Black Stars head coach, speaking on the mindset ahead of that South Africa game, what they plan to do and their intentions towards their opponents at the Cape Coast Stadium on Sunday.
We had some problems in the defense, especially today. We made some mistakes. So after all, everything will be decided on Sunday. So for us, it's important to win our next match on Sunday with 2 goals difference if we want to qualify for the final round of the qualifications for the World Cup. Will be decided in the last match, and this is what we expected, even from before. So last match will be like final match, deciding match who will go to the next round.
All right, so that was Black Stars head coach Milovan Rajevac speaking through his interpreter, Nenad Glisic. Let's talk a bit about South Africa. Daniel, it's been a very interesting campaign for the South Africans. They are trying to rebuild a new team. They have a new manager in Hugo Bruce. I wonder how many South Africans imagined they would be here, but there they are on the cusp of making it to a playoff. All they need to do is avoid defeat in Ghana, and they are through. What have you made of the South Africans? Even as we get the pictures of that game that saw them beating Zimbabwe by a goal to 0 yesterday.
Look, I've been very, very impressed with the South Africans. And you can see the imprint of Hugo Bruce on this team. He's somebody whose teams are built on defensive solidity. He came into this South African team. Of course, their defense was not the best out there. We know they play very nice attacking football traditionally, but their lack of top-class forwards always leaves them asking the question ifs and what ifs. But of course, he's come into this team and you've seen them, not necessarily a one-goal project, but they dominate games. They are very efficient in how they do their business, and they hardly concede. 6 goals scored, and as Fenta said, just 1 goal conceded in 5 games, and that's on a home and away basis. They've beaten Ghana, kept a clean sheet, of course, at this very venue. And they put themselves in a very good position. Now, this is a team that failed to qualify for the AFCON just about a year ago.
They blew it.
They blew it. It was literally the exact thing they had to do now.
Yeah.
Avoid defeat in their last game, I think, against Sudan. And they would qualify, and they went there and they lost. But that was a different coach. They sacked him, they brought Hugo Broos in. And the thing about Hugo Broos' teams, as I've said, defensively, they are very hard to break down, and that means they are very difficult to beat. So then, the Black Stars will really need to work hard if they are going to open them up. And we will have to see an extra level of creativity in the Ghana team if they are going to open the South African team up. Traditionally, when you look at South Africa, as I've said, they look like a team that likes to open up. But he understands the assignment in Hugo Broos. He knows that they are coming into a ground that is very difficult to win at. Ghana has won, has a fantastic record at the Cape Coast Stadium. I think they've drawn only 2 games since the Black Stars started playing, I think, against Egypt in a friendly game against Cote d'Ivoire. Yeah. They are that good when they are playing at home, the Black Stars. So then Hugo Broos understands the assignment. He will come in, he will set up his team to be very difficult to beat. And he's already seen the weaknesses in this Black Stars team going forward. The absence of Partey, as I've mentioned, means that the key creative force in this Black Stars team is Mohamed Kudus. Ethiopia were able to keep him quiet yesterday, so South Africa will target him. Of course, they'll try to keep him quiet, and if you do that, you are almost there. You're almost over the finishing line. And also, South Africa can also score the odd goal. When you sit back in it and you are very difficult to beat, of course, you look at the attacking talent that they have going forward on a counter-attack. They can easily hurt you. They can easily punish you. And what they will be looking to do is to score that first goal, because when you do that, you put a lot of pressure on the Black Stars team. They'll be forced to come out. And when teams are desperate and they are opening up, then it's easy to catch them on a counter and continue to heap punishment on them. So for Hugo Broos, of course, they're already in the country. They're already in Ghana. He will let his...
before us.
Of course, they are before the Black Stars. But look, he will tell his guys that, look, this is a crunch time. This is absolutely different from the AFCON. We missed out on the AFCON. We are not going to the AFCON in January, but this is a golden opportunity. Just don't lose. Do not lose. You cannot go to Cape Coast and lose. And I think that's the best situation that you can have entering a game like this, especially with the home crowd. It can also play against the Black Stars of Ghana.
It can be counterproductive.
Exactly, counterproductive. So what they will do is to try and frustrate Ghana. And look, everybody on the continent loves football almost the same. If you are playing at home in your footballing country and not getting the result, the fans will come at you. They'll grow frustrated. And if South Africa are able to do that, which I know they can do, they could easily nick this and get that place in the playoffs.
Yeah,
I
think
I think the most significant imprint that Bruce has brought to this game is a bit of a shift in mentality.
Okay.
I think South Africa, there was a bit of self-belief lacking, under Molefe. They didn't quite believe that they were capable. There are a lot of experienced players in there. He's introduced a lot of the under-20 and under-23 players that went to the Olympic Games. He's brought them in there. However, I think awareness is key. After the game against Zimbabwe, in his post-game, even he wasn't aware. He said he thought that Ghana needed to win by 3-0. So that in itself tells you that perhaps there might be a certain inkling in his mind that thinks that they're going to lose, but we shouldn't be losing by 3-0.
Okay.
So, and that in itself is not a great way to approach a game of its nature. However, having said that, I think South Africa will be wary, and the Ghanaians themselves would have to be wary of a situation, a déjà vu situation between these two sides back in 2005 in the qualifiers for the 2006 World Cup. When Ghana were going to South Africa, they desperately needed that win to turn around their qualifiers.
They managed to do so.
And Ghana went there and beat them and then stole the ticket. So nobody wants a repeat of that.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how that game plays out. On Sunday is at the Cape Coast Stadium at 7 p.m. It will be played under the lights. So it just tells you how epic it will be. Ghana and South Africa slugging it out for top spot and by extension a place in the playoff of the World Cup qualifiers on the African continent. We'll take a very quick break. When we come back, I'll try and scan through your comments that have come through. And then we'll look ahead to other groups. There's Nigeria to talk about. There are the other teams to talk about. It's even more poised in the other groups who are trying to book places in the playoff stages of the World Cup qualifiers on the African continent. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. This is Citi TV special look at the the World Cup qualifiers on the continent of Africa. Let's switch our attentions. Let's look at Group A. And let's have a look at that Group A table. It contains the Algerians, who are defending African champions and are hoping to make it to yet another World Cup. There you have it. The Algerians have 13 points, Burkina Faso 11, Niger 4, Djibouti 0. Djibouti, they haven't won a game and they are the whipping boys. Everybody gets points of Djibouti.
Their players are running away. You know, their last game against Algeria was played in Algeria, all right? And that was their home game. And to fly to Algeria, they had to fly through Paris. And then 2 of their players have absconded on
the flight, on the way.
On the transit. No, when they transited in Paris, they didn't show up for the flight to Algeria. And then Algeria, of course, ended up winning that game by 8-0. Boneja and...
Let's add the fact that I think it was the team that suffered a stomach upset.
That wasn't them.
Okay, that wasn't them. Okay, there was a particular team that suffered.
But like you showed there, it's a very interesting group. But I think as things stand, like I said before, it looks like it's Algeria's decade African champions. This looks like the golden generation of Algerian footballers at the moment. In fact, Belmadi himself, Jamal Belmadi, the head coach, he's been criticized at home by the Algerian press.
So he's using the same core of players.
Exactly. He's been using the same players over and over again. So today, what does he do? He makes 9 changes to the squad that played against Djibouti. And they still win comfortably by 4-0. And he just knew that he made those changes with an eye on that game against Burkina Faso. Of course, it is a game that already was always going to be difficult for Burkina Faso to win in Bleda because that's massive. The Algerians are very strong, the strongest team on the continent at the moment. And right now, with Burkina Faso dropping points at home to Niger, Algeria would just know that they don't even have to do too much. Even a draw would be enough to take them to the next round. And when they do make it to the next round, every team will be avoiding the Algerians. So be hoping that they don't come up against Algeria because they play with so much self-belief. It's almost impossible to beat them at the moment. They have a record now. They have the second longest unbeaten run in the history of world football, only behind Italy. And I think they're about 6 or 7 games behind Italy's record. It's unbelievable how long they have gone without losing a match for Algeria.
Just tells you the quality they have. Daniel, just a final note on the Algerians. Now that the Burkinabés have dropped points, do you think it will affect how the Algerians think about that game? Because the plan was that they win this game, Burkina Faso wins, and then in midweek or on Tuesday, it's all systems go. Do you think it will affect their preparations? Will they look at that game and probably ease off slightly, knowing that Burkina Faso are 2 points behind? A draw is fine. We can just play out a 1-1 draw, goalless draw, whatever kind of draw.
I don't think the game plan was going to change. I think, and if you follow the conversation around that early draw between Burkina Faso and Algeria, their ego was bruised a lot because they expected
the coach was under a lot of fire.
And a lot of fire because they expected to beat everybody in this group, and rightly so because the gap in quality is huge. So I think before today's game, of course, level on points, he expected Burkina Faso to lose. Going into that game in Algeria, that will be level on points. And you know the Algerians, they were never going to play and avoid to lose. They were going in there to beat Burkina Faso. And I think with that memory of the draw earlier on in the qualifiers and the fact that Burkina Faso are also equally unbeaten in this group as them, they want to end Burkina Faso's unbeaten record and, of course, finish off this second round of qualifying on a high in front of their home fans. So I don't think anything is going to change. And, of course, once he's rested his key players in today's game against Djibouti, you expect all of them to be back in full force. Mahrez came off the bench, of course, in today's 4-0 win. You expect him to start, the captain of the side, the best player in that team. You expect him to start, and of course, you expect Algeria to assert their dominance against Burkina Faso. I was very disappointed Burkina Faso could not beat Niger. And of course, they were missing a couple of key players. But it's Niger, it's at home. It was a must-win game. They knew what they were supposed to do. And they only needed a second half penalty to come back and equalize. It was a bit disappointing. And even when they equalized in the second half, I think it was 55th to 56th minute, there was enough time, over 30 minutes to at home to go on and get the 3 points. And the fact that they were unable to do so is quite disappointing. And I think even they themselves know that going to Algeria to win is almost impossible. What they will want to do is to probably go there and avoid defeat. They will go there, sit back, be difficult to beat. But we know the strength of the attack in this Algerian team, and we expect them to win. I think today's results in Burkina Faso nails them, and it's disappointing as neutrals, because of course Sunday was going to be a series of showdowns.
Yeah, to be fair, I think it's like the Ghana situation altogether, actually. That even if Burkina Faso had won, Algeria would qualify with a draw. They drop points, Algeria would still qualify with a draw. So it's a very, I think it's more of a mental thing, like a mental defeat thing than, because nothing has changed really. Because even if Burkina Faso had won and gone into that game level on points with Algeria, Algeria would still have qualified with a draw. Now Burkina Faso have draw points, Algeria would still qualify with a draw. So basically it's really the same thing. But like Daniel said, it's a more of an ego thing, a superiority thing. Algeria are trying to assert over the Burkinabe and their unbeaten run and all of that, and all those things count. Football these days.
All right, the African champions Algeria showing some strong form there. Let's move on to Group E. Let's have a look at the Group E table. And Group E contains one of the 10 teams who will be in the playoff. Mali, they've already made it, and you can tell they've got 13 points. Uganda on 9. There's no way Uganda is getting past Mali at the top of that table. Kenya on 3, Rwanda on 1. Mali's latest win was in Rwanda. They won that game by 3-0. And so the Malians showing a very, very strong side, showing some determination. In years past, you would have classified Mali as a B-level team. But these days, they are showing that they want to mix it up with the big boys. They've beaten the Black Stars on a couple of occasions. They are very strong representatives in the AFCON. Then it's a fascinating time for Malian football after being in the dark for so many years. Now, they do have a team that's gotten them to a World Cup playoff. They are just 2 games away from a World Cup appearance. The first ever for them. And they are looking like a team that could actually go all the way.
Yeah, and look, this is as a result of planning. A group of people sat down. They knew that, look, from years past, they always had talent. But why were they not cracking it into the big boys? It was just a simple, just sit down, put a direction in place, and make sure you follow through with the plan. And if you trace this current crop of players, the core of their players, they are from the 2015, 2017 under 20s. They've graduated them all through the national team. They understand themselves. Even the very head coach has been in charge since 2017. So he knows these boys through and through. And the sort of football that they play, you can trace it from the under 17 level, under 20 level. They have this sort of identity which runs through all their youth levels, and it's yielding fruits in the senior team. So I'm happy that they are getting the results for the hard work that they've put in over the years. And of course, just like the Algeria situation, the Algeria and Burkina Faso situation, Mali knew they had to do a job yesterday by beating Rwanda. They also thought that Uganda will beat Kenya at home. And Uganda disappointingly drew that game. And the manner in which they drew that game is also what to be very heartbreaking for Ugandan fans, because they dominated the game, especially in the first half. They had a couple of opportunities, gilt-edged chances where any decent professional is supposed to score. Frankly speaking, you are supposed to score, especially in a match like that, to give your country the advantage. And they blew the opportunity. But look, Mali,
and there you see the Malians scoring the first goal. I believe that's Musa Djenepo of Southampton.
Of course. So, and look, you see, these are names that, some of these names, we know them in European football. They are making a mark in European football. But look, and Mali are such a
gift wrapping that second goal and handing it over to the Malians.
Look, they are good. They are good. They are tough. In years past, they were using their physicality, but now they play with some level of flair, and it's very interesting and delightful to watch these Malians play their football. And they will be one of the forces to reckon with in the playoffs. I'm sure no team will want to face Mali, because they can match anybody in terms of physicality, in terms of actual ball play and the tactics and look, game plan. They are a fantastic team to watch, and they are a fantastic team and a very difficult team to play against. So
that's a wonderful long-range strike there from the Malians.
To be fair to the Rwandans, after 6 minutes they were down 10.
Well, so, I mean, you have to beat what is in front of you.
Everybody in the group has beaten Rwanda, except even Kenya has been. No, Kenya drew with Rwanda. Yeah. That's the only reason why Rwanda has a point. So it was quite disappointing Uganda were not able to beat Kenya.
Yeah, but Mali are through to the playoffs. Mali, Morocco, and Senegal. 3 teams. After this weekend, I think the picture will become clearer. A lot more teams would have booked their places.
7 more places left.
7 more places left. You never know whether the Black Stars will be there. But Mali doing some very interesting things. Let's have a look at that game between Uganda and Kenya. We've spoken about Uganda and Kenya teams just about in the same bracket of B. Some people call them C-list teams there. And they are also hoping
this.
How can this was a chance you should be scoring. This is unbelievable.
Do you miss this?
Yeah, unfortunately, they weren't good enough. Like Daniel rightly pointed out, when you go into the penultimate round of matches, knowing that you need to give yourself the very best chance going into the last game, and you go and do this, you don't expect to qualify. And I think that was exactly what happened. And sometimes these things happen because some of these things don't have the temperament of facing these sort of pressure situations. In African football, they've never really been here. Usually in the past, what has happened is that because of the nature of the qualifying series, for example, in the last one, the elimination process happened so early on, involving so many different processes. Yeah. By the time it came down to the last qualifying phase, that was the group stages, and every team in there was a strong team, and most of these teams were often eliminated even before the group stages comes around. So to find themselves in this sort of situation, the pressure can get a bit too much, and Uganda just couldn't deal with it. What look at that. Unacceptable.
These are the reasons why teams like Kenya and things would struggle to hit the big time. I mean, how at this level, how are you even committing these kinds of mistakes?
And no wonder Victor Wanyama has quit.
This was Kenya's chance to get their first 3 points of the season.
Exactly.
And they didn't take it.
Very late on, in the 89 minutes. It's unacceptable.
Just look at this.
And
players cannot believe this, that their goalkeeper would literally hand the game over.
What did you say? Gift wrapped?
Yes,
gift wrapped and handed to the Ugandans. But yeah, so now it's a lost cause now, and massive congratulations to Mali. Well, very well deserved. Like Daniel said, this didn't just happen by accident. No, Mali have put a very proper structure in place to develop the football from the grassroots level up to the senior level, and they're reaping the results for it. And Mali are one of those teams no team wants to play in the knockout stages. So we'll see.
All right, 3 spots down, 7 more to go by the end of this particular match day. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we look ahead to the final bits of our program, groups E and C. Then we look at the top scorers. They are those who are regularly getting goals in the qualifiers. We'll look at their names, who they are, probably chit-chat and see a few things about them before we wrap it up. But we'll be right back after this break. Do not go anywhere. This is a special look at the 2022 World Cup qualifiers on the African continent. This is Citi TV. My name is Nathan Kwa. We'll be right back after this short break. Welcome back. This is Citi TV's exclusive and special look at the 2022 World Cup qualifiers on the African continent. Francis Tahir and Daniel Corenting are my guests. Let's have a look at Group E. Group E, that's the next place we will be looking at in terms of the groupings in the World Cup qualifiers. No,
we've looked at it already.
If this is a previous group, is that
let's
group
go
E?
to Group C.
Well, then let's move to Group C then. Let's move to Group C. I think that's Nigeria's group there. Yes. Nigeria, they also go to the World Cup quite often to represent the African continent, but they are not home and dry. They are just 2 points ahead of Cape Verde or Cabo Verde. Central African Republic are on 4 points, Liberia on 3. So it's not done for Nigeria at all. There's still a lot of football left to be played in this group. Nigeria on 9, Cape Verde on 7 points. Now, if you want to stretch it, the maximum that Nigeria can get is 15 now, right? The maximum that Cape Verde can get is 13. So that's what we are looking at.
They play each other, so that's why it's interesting.
Yes, because it's essentially, if Nigeria wins, that's it. They get
Central. If Cape Verde win and Nigeria win, it will come down to the last game.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So basically what's happening is Nigeria are top now, but on Saturday this group takes center stage. Nigeria are going away to Liberia in the next game. That's on Saturday. That match is being played in Morocco. Because Liberia's home ground is not deemed fit. In fact, their last game against Cape Verde was played here in Accra.
In Accra, yes.
All right. So Liberia are hosting Nigeria in Morocco on Saturday, and then
Cape Verde are hosting Central African Republic in Capo Verde, in Praia. Okay? That's where they host them. So if Nigeria do get a win away from home, that will move them to 12 points.
12 points.
If Cape Verde get a win, it will move them up to 10 points.
Yes.
So that will be 2-point difference. And then I think on Wednesday, the two teams will face each other. Okay. Or is it Tuesday? They will face each other. Nigeria will host Capo Verde, knowing that a draw would be enough.
Takes all.
Yes, knowing that a draw would be enough, but also knowing that they have been shocked before by the Central African Republic. They lost at home to the Central African Republic.
See, that's another thing we cannot overlook.
Yes.
Central African Republic are also not yet out of the if they beat Cape Verde, they move to 7 points.
Yes.
And
but if Nigeria win, that's it.
Yeah, if Nigeria wins, so they have to pray Nigeria loses their next 2 games, which in football is a possibility. Anything can happen. Yeah. So they will also take that game against Cape Verde very seriously, knowing that they are not yet out of it. And of course, that win in Nigeria will also be playing on the back of their minds. They know they are capable of going away from home and getting all 3 points. So this group is very interesting, and this is what we all love. The fact that it is not done yet. There are still a bit of calculations here and there. Teams know that it's not done and dusted, and everybody is going to give off their best to make sure that they get that top spot.
All right, Daniel, just final thoughts on Nigeria. Fred mentioned that they had been shocked before. Several people, when you follow conversations on social and you follow the Nigerian press, there are people who still look at Gernot Rohr and still wonder how he still has a job based on some of the decisions he's taking and all of that. Your thoughts on the kind of lineup, potentially what kind of mix should he go into these games with so that he can get what he wants, get Nigeria into the playoff, and it's anybody's game from there?
You know me, now I'm a big fan of Nigeria. I know I'm a big fan of Gernot Rohr. Because he's one of the few foreign coaches who has put themselves in the job, understands the players. You can tell that they do a lot of scouting. They know the strengths and weaknesses of their players.
They own a salary of 8 months, and
he's still there. And he's still there.
Typical Africa.
And they are complaining. But if not paid him, if you pay him, you win matches. But look, and he goes into the game to win. It's not about entertainment. It's about getting the result. Efficiency is the order of the day. Of course.
So the fans want more. The fans want what? More expansive football.
They want more expansive football. Yeah. They want the team to score more goals, create more chances, because they feel and they are right. They are right to that regard, because they have the players to be able to do so. But results at the end of the day is the most important. And I'm very sure that Nigeria are more than capable of qualifying.
Let's have a look at the top scorers before we wrap it up here. The players who are creating all the news. Yes, there you have it. Islam Slimani of Algeria, 6 goals. Ibrahim Akone of Mali, 5. Riyad Mahrez of Algeria, 4. Abdul Tapsoba of Burkina Faso, 4. Famara Diédhiou of Senegal, 4. Ayoub El Kabi of Morocco, 4. And Peter Shalule of Namibia, 4. Surprise, surprise. It's a Namibian forward.
He scores all their goals.
He's the only source of goals they have. So that's that. But of course, Islam Slimani, not too surprising there. With that kind of quality in the Algerian team, if you lead the line, you should be scoring the goals there. And there's Riyad Mahrez as well.
Another group we've not touched on, and just do that quickly, is the group that involves Mozambique, Malawi, Cote d'Ivoire, and Cameroon.
That's Group D.
That's Group D. Group of death. That has not been decided yet. Of course, the last 2 games will tell. And I think the last game is a showdown between Cote d'Ivoire
in Douala.
Exactly. And Cameroon.
That's a huge one. I remember in qualifying for the 2006 World Cup, there was
another showdown.
A showdown like that.
Cote d'Ivoire.
So basically, the permutations in the group are stand. Cote d'Ivoire are top with 10 points, just 1 point above Cameroon, who are second. Now, Cote d'Ivoire go to Mozambique. No, sorry, they host Mozambique.
Cameroon
at
go
home.
to Malawi.
Cameroon go to Malawi. And then after that, the 2 of them meet on Tuesday in Douala in Cameroon to determine who makes it. So neither team can afford any slip-up.
Yeah.
One slip-up and that's it.
Exactly. It's like the Ghana situation going into the penultimate round of matches.
Like, if you ask me, Cameroon will qualify.
Yeah, Cote d'Ivoire did beat Cameroon at home. And they're still unbeaten in their group at the moment, Cote d'Ivoire. The one defeat to Cote d'Ivoire is Cameroon's only loss in the group so far. That day, Sebastian Haller scored a brace. Incredible.
We'll see. It should be amazing stuff in Douala.
So Tuesday, all eyes in Douala.
Should be a wonderful game of football.
Thank you, friends. Thank you, Daniel. And thank you very much out there for watching. You spent the last 1 hour going through the qualifiers with us here on Citi TV. At least we've painted a picture. We're giving you the context. And so this weekend, heading into early next week, follow the qualifiers, of course, apart from the Ghana game, which is on Sunday. Follow the others and see who could potentially make the playoffs and who could potentially be Ghana's opponents in a 2-legged tie that will be played sometime in March 2021. My name is Nathan Carr. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll do it again, maybe on Sunday when the scorecard wrap things up. But next week, Friday, the Premier League preview show returns on your screens. Do have a fantastic time. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the game and have a great weekend.